So, looks like we're just about into our match, so I'll get the scene switched properly so we can watch it. Alright, spawning in the lower right as our yellow Terran, and both players having some pretty good manner for the start with their GLHFs coming out. We have Lucky 13's Metalcore. And spawning in the lower left is our teal Zerg. We have StraTk Gaming's Wonder. Now these are both diamond players, so I expect some pretty good games out of them. This is a best of 3 series, unlike all of the others, which are best of 1s. This is meant to be the ace match, however it was actually unnecessary as StraTk Gaming had won decisively this week, 6-2. But we'll see how it goes. See who gets the bragging rights between Wonder and Metalcore. Wonder sending his scout off in the wrong direction to start. Now, if you're just tuning in, this is the Chobo Team League, the series between the Lucky 13 and StraTk Gaming. The series is actually technically already over, StraTk Gaming having won 6-2. This is what would be the ace match if it were necessary. But every match is played because they're played anachronistically. So all matches get played, and I'll be casting them all whenever I cast one of these because the bragging rights certainly still matter to the players, if nothing else. And we get some pretty good games out of it oftentimes. So we see Metalcore starting his wall off down at his second base, so we're probably going to see a very early second base, perhaps even a CC first out of him. And we actually see Hatch first out of Wonder, which is no surprise at all. Most Zerg players tend to hatch first against Terran, that is the current meta. In fact, we see Hatch Gas Pool, so we're going to see a Hatch first, and we're probably going to see really early Speedlings or a really early Lair. More likely Speedlings, but sometimes used for a really early Lair. Yeah, we see the barracks already going down as that part of that wall off at the natural, as Metalcore did indeed go CC first. When they're getting all those drones into gas, so like I said, pretty sure we'll be seeing early speed. Could be an early layer, but that's almost always early speed. I play Zerg myself, and I at least know that much. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a silver player for Vortex Esports within the Chobo Team League, as well as just being a silver player, having fun, hanging out. Sometimes doing tech support for my friends over at Base Trade TV. Give those guys a shout out. Base Trade TV, truly awesome community casters. Best community casters I've ever seen. So good that I help them out of the goodness of my heart. Rather than, and pay them money. I'm a subscriber over there. I'd highly suggest you do the same if you like good community casted StarCraft. So we got a few Lings already heading out for Wonder. Go get some scouting done. But his second Overlord has already spotted the location of Metalcore. In fact, Metalcore probably didn't even see that Overlord. Look at his vision for just a moment. Yeah, I don't think he... Oh, we can't see that now, but I don't think he even spotted that Overlord, so Wonder knows exactly where Metalcore is. Well, the opposite is certainly not true. Now, these Lings are going to try to poke around in front, but they're going to find a full wall-off, including a barracks with a few Marines in it, so they're not going to get much done. But they're going to stay there and look for any move-outs at least. And looks like he's kind of making a secondary wall-off, so Metalcore trying to be very safe against things like a Baneling bust. He putting up that supply depot wall before or those Lings run in and try to get a real scout off. Just realized I didn't have the production tab up for people. And we see a very important thing in the production tab, which is that Zergling speed is just about done for our Zerg player. And the Terran player, Metalcore, has just finished his factory. Immediately heading into a second factory, so we're probably going to see some mech play out of Metalcore. Also building up a third command center already. But yeah, seeing a second factory instead of a starport, where looks like Metalcore is going mech, which makes a lot of sense with that kind of a wall off. Made just enough Marines to fill the bunker, and no more. So look at it. Yep, getting out some early Hellions. Probably going to see that Hellion harass start and get pretty strong pretty soon. Wonder starting up a third hatchery. Starting to expand his creep. Literally the first Zerg player we've really seen expand much creep during these matches, as most of the Zerg matches have in fact been ZVZ, so this is the first one we've seen during this matchup where creep spread's really going to matter, and it is going to be used, as everything with Zerg has either been ZVZ or over really fast. Wonder getting down a Roach Warren. Probably having scouted the mech with these... Yeah, these little Zerglings up front, having seen all those Hellions coming out. So the Roach Warren is useful against Hellions. These Hellions now coming out. Gonna take out this scouting Zergling sitting here patrolling, and move across the map. Probably try to get themselves some drones and fight that creep spread. Wonder trying to fight off these Hellions with 2 Queens, but 2 Queens are not enough to fight 5 Hellions. Especially not enough to fight 7 Hellions. It is now 7 Hellions up front. The Queens retreat a little, allowing those now 8 Hellions to deal with the creep spread. 1 Roach coming out on top of those Hellions. Hellions do almost absolutely nothing against Roaches. Roaches being an armored unit and having pretty significant defense. So those Hellions are going to go back, take the watchtower, and wait for a little more of them to be massed up. See Siege Tank coming out, and another factory and 2 starports coming out for Metalcore, so definitely heading into heavy production, and probably going to remain on 2-base play for at least a little bit. He does have the 3rd CC done, but just using it as a way to make extra SCVs and extra mules for the moment, as getting up more and more production to produce more and more things to attack with. See a tech lab going down on this starport. Wonder if we're going to see some Cloaked Banshee play out of him. His Hellions are moving in over on the other side of the map, but getting pushed back by these Roaches. Not wasting a scan to try to get rid of some creep. Yep, we are going to see some Cloaked Banshee plays. We see Cloak being researched immediately upon the finish of that tech lab. As on Wonder's side of the map, we're seeing a Spire come down, so we're going to see Roach Muta. Probably a pretty good choice, as Mutas are a very good counter to, well, pretty much everything we've seen on Metalcore's side. He doesn't have anything that can shoot up out yet, other than missile turrets, and oh man, the missile turrets! 11 missile turrets in production. Must have seen the Mutas with that scan, because missile turrets everywhere, man. Definitely going very, very turtle mode at this point. And that 3rd CC is going to float out over and take the 3rd base. So it looks like we're going to have might have a very long match in our game with our Terran going very turtle. And Wonder getting a pile of Mutas as his main attack force, which will not be able to attack into those aces very well at all until he gets at least 20 or 30 to take down those missile turrets. He is getting +1 attack, which is definitely the right choice on the way. But those Mutas are going to be able to defend against the aggression we're probably going to see out of Metalcore, as his aggression is mostly based around either all of these Hellions or the Cloaked Banshees we're going to see pretty soon. And as long as Wonder gets some detection up, I'm not sure if he has any Overlords morphed into Overseers yet. He certainly has the option, but looks like he may have absolutely no detection on the map, so he may take some significant damage from these Cloaked Banshees if they come over fast enough. We don't see any Overseers morphing, we don't see any Spore Crawlers coming up, so they may well come as a surprise. We don't see any in production yet, though. Got the Cloak and just isn't choosing to produce them yet. Starport's laying idle. But we have these mutas coming in, trying to get some damage done, taking a free siege tank for the troubles. Looks like they may get some pretty significant damage done is the only thing to really challenge them with these missile turrets. And the army is in such a position that these mutas can take down fair bits of the army for free, and the roaches can take down the missile turrets. Base being lifted and running. Looks like Metalcore just may lose everything for a third, but these mutas coming up, I'm going to ways too forward, and losing a couple mutas to missile turrets, that's quite a miscalculation there. Wonder as these mutas have nothing to deal with them, so they're worth their weight in gold at this moment. Nothing can touch them other than the missile turrets, and the roaches are taking down those missile turrets for the third base, so looks like he might get this third base. I'm not sure if he has the DPS to do it before it gets over the other missile turrets, though. More missile turrets doing more damage than mutas, and these roaches doing pretty good. Blue flame on those Hellions isn't going to help against roaches. For those who aren't aware, blue flame does absolutely nothing to roaches being armored units. These SCVs getting good repair off and saving that command center, and there's going to be enough to push Wonder back here. But all in all, Wonder having canceled Metalcore's third while taking his fourth. You see the fourth has just come up there, so looks like a pretty significant lead for Wonder at this point, but Metalcore turtling pretty hard. It may still be a long game before Wonder can move in. Wonder with so much of a mineral bank, and just nothing to do with his 2,000 mineral bank. That is a gigantic bank. In fact, both players have gigantic banks at this point. Surprised we still haven't seen any of those Cloaked Banshees come out. Metalcore researched for it, but maybe he was too busy microing to try to defend that push. Or maybe he realized that these mutas are going to absolutely destroy any Banshees they see. These mutas canceling a number of missile turrets. Metalcore just going in full turtle mode at this point, with a number of siege tanks to be able to hold back the roaches and a number of missile turrets to hold back the mutas. That's probably a pretty good choice. There just aren't enough roaches to charge tanks. Might be a great idea for Wonder to transition into something else. He does have a Hydra Den, but we haven't really seen any Hydras being produced yet. Might be a great idea for him to start producing Hydras instead of more roaches or mutas. Because Hydras can do surprisingly well against tanks as not being armored units. They don't take nearly as much damage from the tanks, who can just break through roaches. But being pretty small units, they still have a pretty tough time breaking through tanks. Metalcore tried again to get this third base down, but the mutas are already there. They're preventing it. Mutas taking some damage from these missile turrets, and so not able to take down the CC, but still preventing his third base and keeping Metalcore in his base. Just an absolute contain. So in the long run, Wonder is going to win this game if he can keep this contain up. Unless Metalcore can escape with at least an SCV and start building a command center somewhere else, or takes the smart idea of sending a command center way up the map to take a ninja base. Because he's going to mine out his bases, and in fact he's almost mined out his bases. Well, he's almost mined out his natural, having sent all of the mules there. But his main getting pretty mined out as well. Might well run out of resources soon. These roaches just getting decimated by these tanks, but still continuing to take down missile turrets, and minerals are a lot more dear for Metalcore than they are for Wonder at this point. Wonder now taking his fifth base. Metalcore just not being able to get out of his second. Continues to build extra command centers, another command center out here. So now, in fact, up to 4 command centers. Building more and more missile turrets to try to defend against those mutas, but missile turrets don't help very much against roaches. And what we see Wonder doing in response is to continue to build more roaches, and in fact going Swarm Host, 6 Swarm Hosts Enduring Locusts. When those Swarm Hosts get out there, there's just no way that Metalcore is going to be able to deal with that. I mean, he's got a number of tanks, but it's not enough tanks to deal with Swarm Hosts properly. Not with some good roach and muta support. A few Vikings coming out, not sure what he thinks they're going to. Vikings don't do a thing against Instapile of mutas. Now that third base now landing. Wonder hasn't quite seen it yet, I don't think. And maybe that Zergling saw it. In any case, he certainly sees it now and gets that base to rise. But another base coming out. Sending out those Hellions after Roaches, that's not going to do any very well. A number of Thors coming out, but Thors aren't really that great against Roaches. But those siege tanks moving forward, he might actually be able to finally break this contain. But it's almost at just the wrong time, as these Roaches are going to get siege tank for those troubles, but most of these Roaches are going to fall. But behind this, we have a whole ton of swarm hosts that are going to come up for Wonder, and he has maintained his Mutaflock. Playing a little with only 2 Vikings. So he's finally broken the contain. Metalcore at least has a chance now. But with swarm hosts being the choice and the proper choice versus this kind of mech turtling, looks like Wonder is going to almost certainly take this. I mean, all those Thors forward. Thors are not very good against Locusts. And he just runs those Thors back. Locust getting a ton of damage done, taking down 1 Thor already. Second swarm of Locusts from the second set of swarm hosts coming up and starting to take down more. But this is going to be a very bad war of attrition for Metalcore here. Choosing to move his swarm host further forward. Looks like Metalcore is just not going to be able to deal with these swarm hosts at all. The only way he could is to start building some Ravens, and I don't see him building them yet. We see a ton more swarm hosts and another Muta coming out for Wonder. These swarm hosts are just going to absolutely batter through. These swarm hosts are currently misrallied up here, but the next rally is going to be correct. They've already fixed that. So we're just going to see Locust Wave after Locust Wave come by. Metalcore has escaped with a SCV getting a ninja base up north, so he might still continue to try to be able to fight this one. And these Locust Waves aren't really getting far enough forward to break the tank lines. Perhaps he needs to mass his Locusts a little more rather than send them in little bits. Looks like he's going to lose 1 swarm host to a misrally. Yeah, that 1 swarm host is not long for this world. Goodbye, swarm host. And 3 more swarm hosts. Wonder, you're going to throw away this game with misrallies and keep doing this. Finally figures out the misrally. Saves one of those 3 swarm hosts that were misrallied. Doesn't move it too far back though. Mute is moving forward to try to help out, but what he really needs to do is get all these swarm hosts sending out Locusts at the same time to try to break through this tank line. Maybe like 2 or 3 to get the Locusts out first and the rest sending them out at the same time. Looks like he might be able to break the tank line right now. Also have these Mutas moving forward, try to take down the few missile turrets and Vikings. If the Mutas can rain in the air, they might be able to help take down some of these tanks. But Thor is being moved forward to try to defend against the Mutas, and the swarm hosts continuing to attack. This may be a long game on our hands, folks, if Metalcore having broken that contain. Now we have a 4-base Terran versus a 5-base Zerg. Only a 3-base economy, and almost really a 2-base economy, and really a 1-base economy for Metalcore at this point. As he doesn't have any extra SCVs up at that major base anymore. A few more Mutas and Flyer Carapace coming in for Wonder. Probably going to try to use those Mutas to try to break this contain, but we also have Ravens out for Metalcore, which is exactly the right way to break down swarm hosts. So we've got these Locusts coming in. That is enough siege tanks so far. Locusts will move in, take down the automated turret first, and about half the health on a siege tank, but that isn't very much, not when we have a ton of SCVs auto-repairing already. But they might start doing damage pretty soon. Or he might try to risk the Mutas and start doing something with that. Looks like the Mutas are actually heading to the south. That may be a very good choice. Try to get something done and destroy some of this production. There's a ton of missile turrets, but that may be enough Mutas to destroy missile turrets well. Already lost 1 Muta to this severe block of missile turrets, but 2 of the turrets already down, a 3rd turret down. Now he might be able to break these turrets, and let's face it, look at that bank for Wonder. He's got the money to burn. He can lose these mutas if he wants to. It would just Swarm Host being much more efficient than mech play. He has lost 2,000 more resources, but he's been on 5 bases a lot longer, deciding to just let these mutas get shot by this missile turret and try to attack these tech labs on these starports and kill the starports, but not sure if that was the best choice, but he has moved them back. Metalcore doing absolutely nothing to defend against the muta threat, taking down his production. If his production goes down, that may be the end for him. Now these Thors are moving in to try to clean up these mutas, but looks like he's lost both starports with their tech labs, and that's going to severely slow down his production. A few mutas moving forward. Those mutas go down to those Thors really quick, but the muta's now being pulled back, being properly microed. And wow, that's a lot of missile turrets and a lot of mutas to deal with. Them having moved the Thors out of place, these mutas might be able to wreck what's here. There's 1 missile turret in place to defend some of the tanks, and there is 1 Raven. But the Raven has no energy, so can't do either a point defense drone or a seeker missile against these mutas. Losing a number of mutas to missiles, but not that many, and now these Thors are finally in place. And these SCVs here to repair these tanks and to keep repairing this 1 missile turret, which goes up right under all those mutas. That's a lot of mutas lost. But Wonder immediately remaxing on mutas. Completely maxed out and able to remax immediately. A massive bank of minerals. His gas is, not that big of a bank yet, but he's maxed out compared to only 135 supply for Metalcore. Metalcore scanning, seeing, yep, those are Swarm Hosts. You can only see the 3 on the edge, but his tank line's still good enough, and not really looking for 3-3 yet from Wonder, although he's just about to finish another base. But what Wonder should really be doing is try to get 3-3 so those Locusts can have a little more health to try to run through that tank line. Anyway, we see these mutas coming up. Yep, we got +2 flyer carapace on for all those mutas hanging out. 1 overseer hanging out with all these mutas to make sure to take out any cloaked banshees they might see. Or any ghosts. But we're not seeing ghosts. Only 2-2 just on the way for Wonder. For Metalcore, I mean. Surprised that he's allowed himself to get to this much of an upgrade disadvantage. Must be being a little forgetful. But that's surprising on a diamond level player. Next Locust wave coming forward. Looks like it's not really going to get much done. He'd be a lot better off rallying those Locusts to start firing a little sooner. You can see this rally is way over here. That means those Locusts aren't even going to fire until they hit that point, which means he does not know how to use Swarm Hosts. I'm a Zerg player. That is not how you use Swarm Hosts. That rally is just wrong. Those Swarm Hosts are just going to be useless. With a rally like that, they're not going to get anything done. He needs to be rallying in about here. I hope that he watches this so next time he realizes that is how you use Swarm Hosts. Apparently he's not that experienced with Swarm Hosts. And here we see him throwing away a few drones on purpose to get some more supply freed. The Terran scanning and seeing all these Swarm Hosts, but that's why these Swarm Hosts haven't been getting anything done. Just that rally is just plain wrong. See, it's just like rallying troops. They won't fire until they hit the end of their rally point. He needs to be rallying those Swarm Hosts here, not here. And that's why this game has just lasted so long, even though Wonder has just such a lead. His Swarm Hosts are doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. These mutas are actually getting some work done, actually, doing a little bit of damage, but with Metalcore now up on 4 bases, actually getting some SCVs here and just having... He's actually morphed this into a planetary and just using mules up here, but with as many mules as he has available to him, that's enough to keep his economy going. Both players being very efficient, but Wonder getting absolutely nothing done because Misrally. That has not yet been fixed. I mean, watch. You watch these locusts move forward. They get in range just barely, and that's in range of that Thor, but they're just not firing because they're rallied too far forward. So wonder, if you watch this, that is not how you rally a swarm house. You rally a swarm house before the army that you're trying to fight it. But you're doing pretty good at keeping everything alive and using these mutas. That, however, is an absolutely ridiculous number of missile turrets and a Thor coming back to try to help deal with it. They get past the Thor by flying right into these missile turrets. That is a ton of missile turrets, but he's got the stuff to burn. Even taking out just those minerals for minerals and gas might somewhat be worth it. But he just didn't take any of them out. He just retreats. There's not enough mutas to get anything done, having to build 14 more mutas to replace them. He's lost a ton of mutas for pretty much nothing. For what, one missile turret, maybe two? Metalcore actually is bringing this game back due to, well, in my opinion, just pretty bad choices by Wonder and that miscontrol on those swarm hosts being continued. He's not re-rallying the swarm hosts. He's not moving them, and the rally is wrong. However, he is keeping a, 3 base contained, and he thinks, but there is this 4th base up here building more and more SCVs for Metalcore. And this Raven coming over, and sacrificing itself to send in a few Seeker missiles, might be able to kill a few of those swarm hosts. Only kills the one that it directly targeted, not, you'd need 3 Seeker missiles to kill out a splash damage. But, does a fair bit of damage. At least he killed one swarm house. That's, more than Wonder's been killing with his swarm house lately, like I said, due to that misrally. And he's made the right unit composition choice, but I just wonder, yeah, nice little pun there. I just wonder how many games Wonder has played with Swarmhouse, because he's obviously doesn't know how to rally them. We'll see if he can get that fixed anytime soon, as Metalcore's army just inches ever forward. A few queens coming to the front. Not sure why. Maybe trying to advance the creep a little. Yep, definitely. Getting down the creep tuners. Trying to advance the creep in the front lines, trying to be able to move forward a little. Perhaps thinking that will help him, but, well, it probably will, because at least it would cause him to pick up the Swarm House and maybe correctly rally them next time. But I'll be blunt, I'm a Zerg player, and this is painful to watch, because these Swarm House should be taking out this army, but this misrally, and look where that's rallied. They can't fire until they get to the rally point. I think I've talked about that enough. We actually see another base coming up from Metalcore, taking the space over in the corner. Wonder not bothering with other bases. He haven't even started to mine up at his latest yet, so he doesn't need to. He's got all of his workers mining. He's got more mining than he needs. I mean, look at that bank. That bank. 7,300, 2,300. He's maxed out. Building every single upgrade he possibly can. Upgrading those mutas severely. Now going up to 3-3 with the mutas, having added on a second spire. A few of his workers now going idle as his gas is drying out at the second base. Still got a few minerals left at the first base. But yeah, he's got, continued with his injects, so he's got an amazing amount of locust, amazing amount of larvae. These swarm hosts still misrally, still getting almost nothing done. But they're starting to get at least a little done, because when they get fired upon, their rally point no longer matters. These mutas flying in, though, they might actually get some work done. Pretty well magic boxed. They're actually taking down these Thors decently. And he's going to lose a lot of mutas, but he can instantly remax. Look at that bank. He's losing all the mutas. Taking down a number of Thors, but like I said, instant remax. Look at the bank. He's finally fixed the rally point. Not really, no. But it's a better rally point. He might actually do something with these swarm hosts now. They're moving now. being pushed back a little by this mech army, but might actually be able to do something with the swarm hosts. Making a ton more mutas. As I said, he can nearly instantly remax on mutas. It does take his whole gas bank to do so. I'm not sure that remaxing on mutas was the right choice, but with his poor use of swarm hosts, it might be. I mean, look, he did the same misrally again. He's rallying the swarm hosts way past, and so they won't get fired until they won't fire until they're fired upon. You do a lot better rallying them right here. So, Wonder, please watch this. Please, rally your swarm hosts like here instead of there. Okay? Thanks. It'll do us Zerg players proud that way. Anyways, massing up all of his new mutas. His upgrades completely maxed out. 3-3-3-3. 3-3 air and ground. But right-click moving these mutas over top of this pile of Thor is not the best choice. Point defense drones being very effective in just wasting these mutas again. If it keeps going like this, Metalcore is going to win this game. He's got a much more significant gas bank, and his supply is now approaching Wonder's, and Wonder is about out of his gas bank. He's got 1 million minerals, but he's got no gas. And if he can't drive the swarm hosts, he's not going to be able to use them effectively. Metalcore, you know, up to the same, well, nearly the same number of bases. He doesn't have quite as many bases, but he's got his mining going. There's no real contain. Wonder's Preep is expanding across the map, but the swarm hosts are getting absolutely nothing done between point defense drones and that mist rally. Things are looking pretty dire here for Wonder, to be honest. He needs to get more gas mining up, which he is. He's gotten gas mining up at all of his new bases now to try to make up for all the gas he's throwing away as he's throwing away piles and piles of mutas, and he just continues to make more mutas. Deciding to research +1 ground attack just cause. Might actually be a good idea to try to transition into something, anything. Even just sending speedlings or something, but no transitions from either player, just more Ravens from Metalcore, which is, you know, the right thing to do. Ravens are pretty great. Wonder throwing away more mutas to missile turrets. Not choosing to actually target fire them very well, and therefore just throwing away piles of mutas. It almost feels bad to point out all the mistakes of these players, but, well, I call it like it is. If he makes a mistake, I'll call the mistake. And as a Zerg player, you know, that misrally, that, you know, he's continuing to do that misrally. That's actually not as bad. They might actually start firing, but they're still not going to get there. There's not enough swarm hosts. He's continuing to spend most of his supply in mutas, and these auto turrets doing half decent work. Auto turrets aren't really that valuable, but these points defense drones are worth their weight in gold, as all these Ravens are starting to mass up. Metalcore is doing a wonderful job against, you know, these swarm hosts, which are completely misrallied now. If he's smart, he just move forward his Ravens and start to take down these swarm hosts, because that few mutas aren't going to challenge that many Ravens if that many Ravens start to send in seeker missiles left and right. I wonder with this massive mineral bank, but 52 free supply, I wonder if he's going to try to transition into something. Building another base. Building another extra spire, just in case, I guess. Another infestation spit, also, just in case. Not that bad of a choice. When you got that much bank, you may as well build backup tech structures. Just in case it starts to get down to a base trade. Metalcore starting to move forward a little. He's slowly moved his siege line. He's all the way to the watchtower. He's going to get all these mutas for free. There's enough Thors there. He's going to take down those mutas. I mean, they might get one Raven or something, but pretty much gets all the mutas for free. Yeah, all the mutas are down, and it was for free. Point defense drones being super effective against these locusts. The swarm host moving back once more as Metalcore continues to march across the map. This is one heck of a long game, folks. Already 35 minutes into the game, and that's way longer than any of the rest of these have been. Throwing those extra minerals into Zerglings, which is probably a pretty good choice, especially since he's caught him with all of these tanks unsieged. That blue flame's going to do work against these Zerglings, as are these siege tanks once they siege up. But he does get a fair amount of damage, and with that kind of a mineral bank, there's no reason he shouldn't be doing that. Sending in a pile of Zerglings could actually do good work to help with these swarm hosts getting the locusts in place, but like he's going to lose a lot of these locusts, a lot of these swarm hosts, I mean. This is the wrong thing. Auto turrets, the wrong thing. You should be dropping just point defense drones. You've got enough tanks. Anyway, hey, fun tip of the day. Hey, auto turrets, not that great in most instances. Good way to use up your extra Raven energy if you've got it, but you'd be a lot better off trying to just use that energy as point defense turrets, especially against locusts, because point defense turrets absolutely super effective against locusts. And he's got the tanks to take them down, so just putting down the point defense so nothing takes damage, probably a good idea. He really should just be moving forward, but he's, you know, still trying to play it safe, unsieging his tanks, moving the line forward. Completely out of minerals right now. Should probably move some of his SCVs up. I bet he's got a lot of idle SCVs sitting around somewhere. No, he's actually sacked out all of his SCVs. He has almost no SCVs. He's working entirely... Oh, there they are. Yep, just sitting there. What you doing, SCVs? Get to work, man. Go up to one of those ninja bases. Oh, and this base. This base has SCVs. Oh, I see. That's where those SCVs just got assigned. So, actually going to get his economy back up and running. Wonder just kind of throwing away more drones, which isn't necessarily the best idea. He needs gas. He needs to keep mining it because he especially needs gas. Getting out a ton of roaches, but that's not going to help. Looks like this is going to go in Metalcore's favor. It's going to take a while for him to bust out Wonder with that massive mineral bank, but this game just goes more and more in Metalcore's favor as he moves up. Siege tanks being pretty darn effective against roaches, and those ravens being able to take out any swarm hosts they might see. Looks like Wonder is pretty much switched over to pure roach, and I can say that. So here we have Metalcore making it happen. Just waiting with his army, slowly taking things out. Oh, looks like we're trying a roach drop on top of these. However, most of the overlords are going down before they get the roaches to their intended target. It's a pretty good idea. Oh, he's not even dropping. There they go. There they start to drop. It was a pretty good idea, but yeah, he does get a number of these siege tanks down by friendly fire. That worked out pretty good for Wonder, but still, it may be not enough. Yeah, I don't think it's enough at all. He did take out a number of siege tanks with that, but lost an insane amount of roaches in doing so, and it's just not enough. Oh, all these overlords, they're gonna die. No, actually, he's not choosing to chase the overlords. It would be a very good idea to do so. There's no way that he can deal with things in the air very well. He's got enough Vikings to take out any of the mutas that may happen to pop in. Looks like he's going to take down all the tech structures in the first base, but as I mentioned earlier, he actually has at least a few extra tech structures up here. Yeah, he's actually rebuilt pretty much his entire tech infrastructure in the north. So the original main base is going to go down, but what's really funny is that it really isn't worth anything except as a macro hatch now, including all those tech structures. I don't think a single one of those tech structures is worth anything. They may think he's getting something done when in reality, like, the only thing he's going to kill it's worth anything is a macro hatch. He's taking a little bit of damage from the broodlings. Wonder looks like he's going to try that roach drop again. He's building a number of roaches. No, he's actually just running the roaches across the map. Knowing that he has Metalcore's army, most of it down here, he's actually going to probably try to make an attack with all these roaches. Got these tanks on siege. He's going to get a few tanks. Loses a few roaches in the process, but that's a lot of roaches. He might actually be able to get down here and actually get something done. Metalcore does not have that much in defense. That is exactly the right decision for Wonder. I don't know if he knows about these bases to the north, though. Those would actually be the place to go. Looks like he is. Yeah, he probably does know about these bases in the north. Actually, let's see his vision.
Coming through.
He scouted one of them, but not the other. So he definitely knows about one of them. Whereas Metalcore does not know about all these bases. So this might be an interesting base trade scenario where the slow mech army just can't keep up. Wonder is going to continue to lose bases and lose overlords and God knows what else. He's actually already spent supply block by losing a pile of these overlords, which he's just not even bothering to try to move. They've got speed. He should at least try to move them out of the way, but he's losing all of his OVs, having to remake them. But look at that mineral bank. He can just immediately remake his entire overlord fleet. Not enough yet. But yeah, he's out of larvae. He doesn't have enough larvae. He just doesn't have queens. In the meantime, these roaches seem to have been chased back by a small mech army. Actually, the roaches coming back to join up in these swarm hosts and try to actually deal with his main army directly. That is not really the right choice here, Wonder. It'd be a lot better having done the base trade. At least that rally point's better. He finally has a good rally point on that. Yeehaw! Good rally point. But there aren't enough mutants to deal with the air here. Just the air army of Metalcore is going to take him out. And he's throwing away roaches. Just absolutely throwing them away. Down to only 60 supply. This is definitely Metalcore's game. Wonder had a good idea sending out those roaches. That would have been his best plan. Speed roaches in a base trade. But he's got nothing. Except for a mineral bank. Metalcore's army continuing to move in, take out all these bases. Looks like he's actually going to take out the real tech structures. You know, the last tech structures remaining. Wonder should just be GGing out at this point. He's got nothing other than a huge bank. Whereas Metalcore is almost remaxed. So, yeah, we have Ovi's flying across. At least he's going to get a scout out of it, but they're going to die to missile turrets. Yeah, GG, well played. Metalcore takes the win for Lucky 13 in at least east of the first game of this unnecessary ace match.